Going to the Garden. I'm Matt Carlins, and this is Just Pro Wrestling News for Friday, September 10th, 2021. This update is brought to you by IndieWrestling.us. WWE is loading up for a huge SmackDown tonight from New York's Madison Square Garden. Brock Lesnar is scheduled to appear his first time on WWE TV since his surprise return at SummerSlam. Just added to tonight's card, the Usos are set to defend the SmackDown Tag Titles against the Street Profits, plus a SummerSlam rematch, Edge versus Seth Rollins. WWE announced on Thursday that Finn Balor will get another shot at Roman Reigns and the Universal Championship at Extreme Rules. Also officially announced on Thursday, WWE has signed Olympic gold medalist Gable Steveson. On Thursday's NXT UK, Wolfgang beat Sam Gradwell to advance in the Heritage Cup #1 Contender Tournament. Oliver Carter, Ashton Smith, and Saxon Huxley beat Symbiosis, and Sid Scala announced that he has suspended Blair Davenport following her attack on him during last week's episode. Pretty Deadly are set to defend the NXT UK tag titles on next week's episode against Joe and Mark Coffey.
AEW.
Tonight's AEW Rampage has Pac versus Andrade El Idolo, Brian Pillman Jr. versus Max Caster from The Acclaimed, and a 6-woman tag team match, AEW Women's Champion Dr. Britt Baker, Rebel, and Jamie Hayter versus Ruby Soho, Chris Statlander, and Riho. Plus, we'll hear from Darby Allin and Sting for the first time since All Out. We haven't seen the last of Minoru Suzuki in AEW. He'll be back on next Wednesday's Dynamite alongside Lance Archer. Archer tweeted that they're, quote, both furious about preferential hometown treatment, end quote, for Jon Moxley during this past Wednesday's Dynamite. Tony Khan tweeted Thursday he's been, quote, talking to Lio Rush a lot recently about returning to AEW, and it feels like something that could happen in the near future, end quote. The first set of tapings for AEW Dark at Universal Studios in Orlando will be held on Saturday.
Ring of Honor.
Ahead of Sunday's Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view, the Ring of Honor tag team titles will be defended. On this weekend's ROH TV, the champions Homicide and Chris Dickinson will be challenged by Dragon Lee and Kenny King. Also on this weekend's episode, ROH World Champ Bandito and Ray Horace team up to take on the Briscoes, and Josh Woods versus Will Ferrara in a Pure Rules match. ROH announced that Max the Impaler has signed a deal with the company. Over in Japan, Julia, one of the top names in Stardom, will miss the remainder of the 5-star Grand Prix tournament. Stardom announced Julia is getting treatment for a lingering neck injury.
New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Tonight's New Japan Strong is the second LA Dojo Showcase with Carl Fredericks versus Ren Narita, Alex Coughlin versus Clark Connors, and Kevin Knight versus the DKC.
Impact Wrestling.
New matches made for Victory Road on last night's Impact Wrestling. We'll get to those, but first, New Japan's Hikuleo showed up on last night's Impact as backup for fellow Bullet Club member Chris Bay. Unfortunately for Bay, he showed up after David Finlay had used a roll-up to pin Bay in their match. Anyway, Hikuleo and Bay laid waste to Finlay and Juice Robinson after the match. It'll be Bay and Hikuleo versus Finjuice at Victory Road. Also announced for Victory Road, Rosemary and Havoc will defend the Knockouts tag titles against Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans. Rosemary pinned Steelz with a spear on last night's show, but after the match, Steelz and Evans stole the Knockouts tag title belts. Another match set for Victory Road, Moose and W. Morrissey taking on Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan. Moose had Morrissey in his corner last night as he beat Edwards in the main event. There was a huge melee after the match, which ended with Callahan rescuing Eddie and Alicia Edwards from Moose and Morrissey. Macklin beat Petey Williams after TJP, Falapa, No Way, and his conga line strolled out to ringside and distracted Williams. Laredo Kid wrestled a match on last night's Before the Impact, and he got a win over John Skyler. Major League Wrestling revealed the first 5 participants in the upcoming Opera Cup tournament: Filthy Tom Lawler, Matt Cross, Davey Richards, TJP, and Calvin Tankman. 3 other names are still to be announced. That is Just Pro Wrestling news for Friday, September 10th. Our next update comes your way tomorrow morning, so please rate, review, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our updates. I'm Matt Carlins. Thank you for listening.
This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.